Hello, high schoolers. This is Skill Builder 14, and today we're going to talk about naming keys. If you look back at the last couple of weeks, you'll see that everything we have done connects. We started by talking about major scales, the characteristics that every major scale has, and we learned that each major scale is built with the same order of whole steps and half steps. We then saw that every major scale has a unique number of sharps and flats. And last week, we learned how we can represent those sharps and flats with a key signature and saw that sharps and flats are added in a specific order. What we did not talk about last week and what we will talk about today is how to look at a key signature and say, that is in the key of blank major. And that's really important, especially when it comes to communicating with other musicians. And so we're going to get started today. Make sure your name is on the top of your paper. And we're going to start with a review because, again, this stuff that we learned last week is going to connect with what we're doing today. So the first question is to write the order of sharps. If you think back to your worksheet from last week, I put a little picture there to help jog your memory. It's a cat with a fork and knife. Hopefully you remember that the order of sharps is F, C, G, D, A, E, B. And you can think fat cats go down alleys eating birds. And then the order of flats had two pictures. The first was of beads, B, E, A, D. And then of math, because the thing we're going to think about is greatest common factor. And of course, the order of sharps and the order of flats are just the same thing reversed. So if you got one of them, you could just reverse the other one. And so that's going to be important in a moment when we look at how to name these keys. And we'll start with naming sharp keys because there's a different rule depending on if the key has sharps or flats. So the rule for sharp keys is that the name of the key is one half step higher than the last sharp. Now, eventually you'll be able to just look at this and do the trick really, really fast. But I've broken it down into some questions to kind of help guide us to start. So the first question, and we'll take a look at this key signature. We have four sharps. What sharps are in the key signature? Well, you can go back up and look at your order of sharps, or you may have it memorized. They are F, C, G, and D. What is the last sharp? It's D sharp. It's going to help you to put the sharp sign after it because now we're going to go up to look for what half step higher is. And if you accidentally went to the D key, you would get the wrong answer. So we're going to D sharp, and we have to look for what one half step higher is than D sharp, and that is E. So this is the key of E major. The last sharp is D sharp. One half step higher than D sharp is E. That makes this the key of E major. And when I talk about communicating with other musicians, you can see how it would be much easier to say, we are playing in the key of E major, instead of saying we're playing in the key signature that has F sharps, C sharps, G sharps, and D sharps. And for example, if you're someone who's going to do a NISMA solo this year, the adjudicator will not tell you the key signature of the scales when they ask you to play them. And so you'll have to know when they say, I'd like you to play an E major scale, what is specifically is in the key signature. And you will get faster at this trick as we go along, I promise. All right, here's another key signature. What sharps are in it? I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So fat cats go down alleys eating. Everything except for birds is in the key signature. The last sharp is an E sharp. Now this one is tricky because we do not have an E sharp on our keyboard, but a sharp just means to make something a half step higher. So E sharp is actually the same thing as F natural. So this is an E, and E sharp is this. F or E sharp, they're the same name. So what's one half step higher than an F? It's up here, F sharp or G flat. Now, since it's a sharp key, we're not going to use the flat version of that note in the key signature name. So this would be the key of F sharp. The last one half step higher is F sharp, and the key name is F sharp major. Okay, and the last one, what sharps are in this key signature? There's only one, so that makes it F. What is the last sharp? Technically, it's the first and last, the only sharp is an F sharp. What's 1/2 step higher than an F sharp? G. And so that means that this is in the key of G major. Okay, so when it comes to naming sharp keys, you're looking for the last sharp and going up 1/2 step. That's the name of the key. Let's take a look at flat keys. The blank flat is the name of the key. I'm going to give you a big word here. This is a great SAT word. So this is why you'll see in a minute it doesn't mean anything crazy, but it's a good word to know. The penultimate. The penultimate flat is the name of the key. Penultimate is another way of saying second to last. So the second to last flat is the name of the key. Let's take a look here. We have 3 flats. What flats are in the key signature? Well, B, E, and A flat, starting to spell bead. What is the penultimate flat? The last flat is A. The penultimate or second to last flat is E flat. Make sure you include the flat symbol there. And so that means that this is in the key of E flat major. This one's a little bit easier than naming sharp keys because you don't have to do anything with whole and half steps. It's just you look for the second to last flat, and that's your answer. Okay, the next one, we have 5 flats. What flats are in this key signature? B, E, A, D, and G. What is the penultimate flat? That would be D flat. That means that this is the key of D flat major. Last one, all 7. So you can just write out the order of flats: B, E, A, D, G, C, and F. What is the penultimate flat? C flat, which means this is the key of C flat major. All right, so quick review: sharp keys, you find the last sharp and go up 1/2 step to get the name of the key. Flats, you find the second to last flat, and that is the name of the key. Make sure you include the flat with it, though. It would not be correct to say this is E major. This is E flat major. All right, exceptions to the rule. What happens if you don't have any sharps or any flats? There isn't a rule that you can follow. This only will happen once. It's with no sharps or no flats. This is the key of C major. You just have to memorize that. Okay, it doesn't fit within the rule. And how about over here? Here's a flat key, but there's no penultimate flat. There's only a last flat. There isn't a second to last flat. So what do you do for this one? Well, this is the key of F major. So these 2 you just have to memorize. There isn't any trick to these. You just need to know C is no sharps or flats, and 1 flat is F major. Okay? Now, your Show What You Know this week, I just want you to practice reading these key signatures. You can actually go online. There are key signature quizzes and different programs that you can use. And I want you to be ready on the next day 1 to use these rules to name key signatures in class. Okay? Thanks so much for watching your skill builder. I will collect this paper either before the next day 1 if you're done, or at the very latest by the next day 1. I hope everyone has a great day, and I will see you guys in class.